Okay. So welcome back to our Gita Sandesh series. So we'll quickly look at the summary of chapter 6. And also, today's chapter is very important because we are actually going to start a new section in the Bhagavad Gita. So in the 6th chapter, Krishna is introducing the concept of Ashtanga Yoga, emphasizing that meditation is one means to control the mind. So this process is very rigorous though. It's an ancient process. And this process involves things like celibacy, seclusion, living in a sacred place, regulating your senses, then starting your asana, the pranayama, then beginning to withdraw your senses, pratyahara, then dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So Krishna is emphasizing the importance of disciplining the mind through suitable practices. One such practice is Ashtanga Yoga, which within the process it inculcates self-discipline. Another way to discipline the mind is to chant the holy names of the Lord. So the word Ashta means 8. So there are 8 angas or limbs of this yoga. So yam, niyam, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and finally samadhi. So this is all about mind management. So to respond to the question that I put, does the Gita teach us to control our body first or control our mind? Definitely to control your mind. Because if your mind is controlled, your body will also come under control. Your senses can come under control. So what is the benefit of this mantra meditation that devotees in ISKCON are practicing? Because when we chant the holy names of the Lord, we are literally connecting with the Lord. So what will happen over a period of time of chanting is that, let us say you are filled with negative thoughts. Your thoughts will slowly turn to positive. Let us say you're wasting your time on thinking about things that have no relevance or significance in your life, but your mind just tends to dwell on it. Then from wasteful thinking, it will shift to functional thinking. So chanting, the benefit of chanting is that you will be peaceful, you will be powerful. Powerful does not mean you're the ability to dominate others or to subdue others. Power to subdue your own mind and tap into that higher source of energy, Krishna. And you will become beautiful. Now, beauty is not external here. Beauty is the qualities that will surface up. So, repeatedly in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that just chanting the holy names of the Lord or hearing Bhagavad Gita or hearing Bhagavatam, what happens is that your inner consciousness that has been contaminated over so many millions of births will start getting cleansed. So imagine if something is being cleansed, then its original beauty will show. We are all originally beautiful. We are all Satchidananda. So when all of that dirt is removed off of you, your real beauty shows up. Therefore, your original qualities of kindness, compassion, all of this will surface up. For some of us, we may experience this change very quickly. For some of us, it will take some time. So to control the mind, Krishna is saying, we have to do two things, which we did not cover yesterday. Abhyasa and Vairagya. Yes, he agrees with Arjuna. Yes, Arjuna, I understand that it is very difficult to control the mind, but through practice and through detachment, one can slowly learn to bring the mind under control. And in the initial stages, Krishna is also saying, your mind will get distracted with any spiritual practice that you undertake, but you have to keep pulling the mind back to what it should stay focused on. And His Holiness Keshav Swami Maharaj mentions a beautiful analogy, and I want to share that analogy because that may help some of you. You know how many of us use the laptop or the mobile, right? And we use the internet browser, whether it is Chrome or Internet Explorer or whatever it is, Firefox or whatever it is. Your browser has a tendency to remember your search history. So when you type the first few alphabets, it already seems to know what your mind wants, what you're searching for. And that is what will pop up. So similarly, your mind is like that. So if you reflect on the mind, you can look at it as resetting your browser history. So although it does not seem that simple and obvious in the beginning, you have to kind of look at how you will actually successfully use that browser history. So if you are searching for things that take you away from Krishna, then slowly if you begin searching for things that take you towards Krishna, then eventually your browser history gets updated. So that is the trick. In the beginning, your mind is not going to like the idea of chanting. Your mind is not going to like the idea of waking up early in the morning and setting aside time for sadhana. Your mind is going to resist in so many different ways. But you have to tell your mind, I am the boss, you are not the boss. So if your mind is regulated, Krishna says it's your friend. If your mind is not under your control, then it literally becomes your enemy. It doesn't allow you to go where you need to go spiritually. Then Krishna, rather Arjuna, asks a question. What is the result of somebody who begins their spiritual journey but is not able to fulfill it or reach the objective by the end of this life? Life is very short. If you start this journey in your mid-30s, mid-40s, mid-50s, you barely have 10, 15, 20 years, maybe maximum 30 years to really perfect your sadhana. And because we are all grihasthas and we have so many competing responsibilities and priorities, then your sadhana may also go up and down, up and down, up and down, depending on what's happening in your life, what stage of life you're in. So Arjuna is also expressing this concern. Okay, what if I start and what if I don't succeed? So in that context, Krishna says, well, if you've practiced for a short period of time, then I reward you by, sending you to the heavenly planets where you'll have a long life and a lot of opulence and a lot of enjoyment. Then once that enjoyment has been completed, then you will come back and take birth in either a pious family or a very wealthy family. So you have an opportunity to continue. But if you have practiced for a very long time, then Krishna assures us immediately after death, you will go and occupy the womb of a person or a devotee who is already practicing um, and who is already on the transcendental path. So that's the difference between practicing for a long time and practicing for a short time. That means for us, the most important thing is that today we have to get started. In case you have not started chanting, then you should make a commitment today that you will start your chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because that will benefit not only you, but also your family members. It is said that the child that is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, they are able to release 7 generations of their forefathers and 7 generations that will come after them. That is the power of chanting the Mahamantra. It is not an ordinary mantra at all. So we shouldn't think, oh, this mantra is so easy, that means results must be, very slim or not very satisfactory. So this mantra is very, very powerful. So Krishna is concluding the 6th chapter by prioritizing the yoga of love. So we looked at the ladder, beginning with Bhakti Yoga at the very top. Then coming below that is Dhyana Yoga. Below that is an ascetic. So an example of an ascetic would be like Hiranyakashipu. Now he was not practicing asceticism to serve Krishna. He was practicing asceticism to defeat Vishnu and occupy his position. So below the Ashtanga Yogi is the ascetic. Below the ascetic is the Jnana Yogi. And below that is actually the Karma Yogi, and outside the ladder is the Karma Kandi, or rather the Karmi. But within the Karma Yoga, there is a ladder: Karma, Karma Kanda, Sakama Karma Yoga, and Nishkama Karma Yoga. And the thin line of difference between practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is that in Bhakti Yoga, Krishna plays a significant role in your life. Whereas in Nishkama Karma Yoga, you are only trying to avoid the troubles of life, the ups and downs of life. Right? You don't want to get caught up in that cycle of Papa and Punya. So it is more of a negation or an avoidance. Whereas Bhakti Yoga is positive, an acceptance that Krishna has to be a part of your life. So the mind is so important. Krishna is actually telling us in the 8th chapter, he'll tell us that Mayarpita Mano Buddhihi. Mai means unto me, which is unto Krishna. Arpita, what is the meaning of Arpita? To surrender. Mai Arpita Manaha Buddhihi. Krishna is saying, give me your mind and give me your intelligence also. So if we are ready to give Krishna our mind and intelligence, then everything will be very sublime. There's nothing that we need to worry about. So although the chapter is about Ashtanga Yoga, Krishna is actually emphasizing the importance of Bhakti Yoga. Because in Bhakti Yoga, we have a very deep, loving relationship with Krishna. See, the human nature is that we want to serve someone out of our love. Service means there is a relationship. There are 2 entities. There are 2 personalities. So to fulfill that desire of service, we are always looking at an object outside of us. Either that love is transferred to objects that don't take you towards Krishna, or it is transferred to objects that take you towards Krishna. So Bhakti, Krishna is saying, is the highest, because when you have an intimate relationship with Krishna, then Krishna begins to reciprocate. single word summary. So let's go through a 6-chapter single word summary before we begin the middle section. Because yesterday we concluded the Karma Yoga section of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the first 6 chapters. So in the first chapter, Arjuna is lamenting out of confusion and anxiety. In the second chapter, Krishna is establishing his identity. In the third chapter, Krishna is outlining clearly what are the duties and responsibilities for a grihastha, both Swadharma and Nityadharma. In the fourth chapter, Krishna is telling him that to perform these duties and responsibilities, you have to go beyond Atma-jnana. Although Atma-jnana is a very important component of your spiritual trajectory, you also have to understand who is the Supreme Lord. In the fifth chapter, if you follow all of this process and to perform essentially Nishkama Karma Yoga, which is to avoid Papa and Punya and perform only a karma, then the end result for you is going to be peace. But the best way to achieve that peace of mind is to take yourself up a level higher. Of course, one way to do that is through Ashtanga Yoga, by meditating on the Paramatma within you, the four-handed Paramatma within you. But by the end of the chapter, Krishna has set the stage for us to think and meditate about him. And with that, we will begin the 7th chapter today. The 7th chapter is called Jnana Vijnana Yoga. What is the difference between Jnana and Vijnana? Jnana is knowledge. Vijnana is realized knowledge. Realized knowledge means you have practiced that knowledge, you put it into practice, and through that practice you understand, you achieve certain realization, and that leads to wisdom. So let us look at how the 7th chapter is structured. We have more slides today than we normally do. So it may take me a few minutes longer than I normally do to finish the chapter. So we went from lamentation to identity, to duty, to knowledge, to peace, to thinking, meditation. And today begins the middle section of the Bhagavad Gita, which is all about bhakti. Because Krishna has ended the 6th chapter by saying, in his opinion, that devotee who's always thinking of him, who's always meditating on him, and who is engaged in devotional service is the highest and the best of the yogis, because he has developed a certain level of intimacy with Krishna. That rasa that you have. Either you are relating to Krishna as your very close friend, or you're relating to Krishna as your child, or you are relating to Krishna as your beloved. So in this chapter, Krishna is going to introduce himself as your boss. Yeah. He's going to tell you in the 8th chapter, give me your mind, give me your intelligence. The beginning of surrender. So this particular chapter is divided to 4 sections. Shlokas 1 to 12, we'll look at knowledge through queries, submissive inquiry. And Krishna is going to talk about those people who accept him as a Supreme Lord, or at least approach him for something. And then those people who do not, then maybe a potentially sensitive and difficult topic to discuss is, should we worship the devatas or not? Krishna will answer that question also. And concluding with, who can actually become a devotee? Is there Does Krishna have any pre-qualification criteria? What does he want from you before he sees you as a devotee? That is also going to help us understand better of Krishna's mood. So in the first shloka, Krishna is saying, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamanav Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashrayah Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnasyasi Tachrunu. Here Krishna is saying, now hear, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga and full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Krishna has talked about meditation, and an aspect of meditation includes meditating on the four-handed Paramatma that is residing within you. So now Krishna is talking about simply surrendering your mind to Krishna in such a way that your mind is so attached to Krishna, it can never forget Krishna. So when your mind becomes that attached to Krishna, Krishna says you will completely understand me and you will have no doubts about your relationship with me. So hearing is a very important aspect that Krishna emphasizes throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Also, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will repeat the same topics and the same concepts again and again and again. So sometimes you'll think, why is Krishna repeating himself so much? He knows that we are all manda sumanda buddhi. We don't have the capacity to pay attention for long periods of time. So the same message will be repeated over and over again. Hopefully, every 2-3 milliseconds, we are hearing attentively, and it may pierce our ears and then pierce our hearts. So let's look at how does one actually learn, because this whole chapter is about jnana and vijnana. So the title of the chapter is taken from the second shloka. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam bhakshyama sheshatah yajñātvā neha bhūyonyat jñātavyam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Krishna is saying knowledge is divided into two broad categories. Everything related to this temporary cosmos, and everything related to something that is eternal and permanent. So the way Prabhupada translates this to English is that, although here Prabhupada has said phenomenal and numinous, better way to understand it is all of this material world is one aspect of knowledge. All of the spiritual world and what's happening in the spiritual world, that is another set of knowledge. So Krishna is saying if you've understood both this, the spiritual and the material, you have nothing left to learn. With this, your knowledge is complete. So, for example, what do we consider material knowledge? Maybe how rainwater is produced through the process of the evaporation of the water from the ocean that goes up, forms condensation in the form of clouds, that clouds then brings back that water, but it is salt water is converted to fresh water through this process. So understanding this process is material knowledge. But understanding who has actually created and designed this process, that is spiritual knowledge. For example, we know that water, the formula for water is H2O. But who has created the hydrogen and oxygen? The answer to that question is spiritual knowledge. So that means anything that is done related to the physical realm, that is temporary. Because just like we undergo the process of birth and death multiple times, The whole cosmos goes through that same process of creation, maintenance, destruction. Creation, maintenance, destruction. Actually, there's a nice definition of God. G-O-D. G stands for generator, operator, destroyer. This process has been going on for time immemorial. So if somebody is killed and the doctor does a post-mortem, material science can only tell us what time that person died and what was the cause of death. So the doctor's knowledge is limited to this. He cannot tell you who is that person, what was he doing in this life, who are his parents, does he have children? This knowledge he does not have. So in that sense, knowledge related to the material world is limited. So we don't know everything beyond a certain point. So if material knowledge itself is not, we are not capable of understanding it fully, then can you imagine how challenging it may be to understand spiritual knowledge and spiritual world? However, you can understand Krishna and his transcendental nature and activities simply through the process of hearing. So the next question becomes, how do you actually learn? Hearing is one aspect, but there must be a process by which we learn. So our Shastras say there are two ways in which we acquire knowledge. One is called the Arohana method. The other one is called the Avarohana method. There's a beautiful picture of Prabhupada sitting with all of his disciples. They all look so happy to hear from Srila Prabhupada. They were so attentive. But for any knowledge, belief is essential. So both for Arohana method, Avarohana method, both for material knowledge and spiritual knowledge, some belief is essential. For example, if we tell you the man has come from monkeys, you and I have not witnessed this. But because we have studied it, and teachers who have certified themselves have studied it, somebody at some point in time researched it, wrote some papers. Because we have faith in the teachers, we have faith in the institution of education, and we have faith in science, we accept it, even though we don't have any proof of it personally. Similarly, we have all heard that man has landed on the moon, but you and I never witnessed it. Yeah, there may be some grainy old videos that exist of somebody landing somewhere. But we accept it, we believe it. Why? Because we have faith in the government, we have faith in the press that both of them were honest about this particular incident of human beings landing on the moon. So similarly, even spiritual knowledge requires some amount of faith. Because if you don't have faith, you're not going to make much progress. You will get caught up in this loop of logic and illogic. So acharyas have demonstrated their faith in spiritual knowledge, that the Lord is our Father, and the Vedas that the Lord has left behind for us is our mother. So if we have to understand our Father, we have to approach our mother to get a better understanding of our Father. This is the proper way to understand divine knowledge. If Vedas are our mother, the Vedas talk about our Father. So you have to approach the Vedas to understand who the Supreme Lord is. So the first method is called the Arohana method. It means ascending, which means you make an effort to understand things on your own, then you reach a certain level, then you, through processes of maybe research or deduction and all those other scientific processes, you need to reach another level. So ascending means we are using our intelligence to decipher the truth about both matter and spirit. But the problem with this process is that we all have a limited amount of time on this planet Earth. We can't keep experimenting. By how many things will you experiment on? So it's a waste of time. Therefore, this Arohana method, although it is useful for certain purposes, it is not effective because you don't have the time, the capacity, the intelligence to understand everything around. Because we didn't manufacture the elements. We didn't manufacture air, water, fire, earth, ether. So how are we going to understand this? How many lifetimes do we need to understand these things? So the better way of learning is that through the Avarohana method. But the other challenge with Arohana is that our senses are not perfect. So we have a tendency to commit mistakes. Therefore, science always recalibrates, At one point in time, butter was not good for health. Then you got hydrogenated fats like dalda and other things. Then later on, they discovered dalda is not good for you. And they went back to saying butter is actually better for you. Like this. We tend to commit mistakes because our knowledge is limited. Second thing is that we operate under illusion. It's very easy for somebody to scam us, or it's very easy for us to scam ourselves also, because we lack the vision to understand and discriminate. The Viveka Buddhi may not be there. Then we have a tendency to cheat. Our senses are not perfect. If you look at the sun, if I asked you how large is the sun, you will not be able to estimate. If I asked you how far away the sun is, you will not know. You will have to do some Google search and find out somewhere scientists have figured this out. Actually, the distance between the sun and the earth is already mentioned in the scriptures. The distance between the earth and the moon is already mentioned in the scriptures. And science has proven that what was already mentioned in the scriptures is mirroring what the scientists have found out. And we have a tendency to cheat ourselves and to cheat others. So this Arohana method, although it is useful, it is not always perfect. So what is this Avarohana method? If Arohana is ascending, then Avarohana must be the opposite, which is descending. So the descent of knowledge through the Parampara system, originating with the Supreme Lord himself, is the best way to learn because that knowledge is perfect. There is no defect in knowledge received in this way. Right? So this Avarohana method, through the process of disciplic succession, is what Krishna is also emphasizing as we learned in the 4th chapter. Because the Lord has no defects, any knowledge that he also gives to the Devatas and other great devotees and the Mahajans is also perfect. And because his devotees are following in his footsteps, his devotees are also free from these defects. Now, you may say, come on, how can you say that? Because we just discussed that it will take a long time for us to bring our mind under control. But you will discover what Krishna's opinion is of devotees. We are talking about pure devotees here. So there can be no fault in the acharyas. Their devotion to the Lord is perfect. And therefore the knowledge that they share with us through their realizations is also perfect. Realizations and revelations. So Krishna is saying here, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yadati siddhaye yadatam apisiddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. That means the number of devotees that have faith in Krishna and worship him and also are seeking to go back to the spiritual world, Krishna is saying the percentage of that is very, very less. So what is the point of trying if Krishna himself is saying it's very rare to have devotees? They are a rare species, they're a rare breed. It's because of our tendency to fall under illusion. So very few people want to actually surrender to Krishna in this lifetime, in their one lifetime. So that is what the Lord is saying. But coming back to the statement that we made, that the Lord is perfect, everything that he does is perfect. The acharyas, the pure devotees are also perfect. And you may challenge and say, but then Lord Ram tested Sita. Why did he do that? Krishna has married so many women. What about his Rasalila pastimes in Vrindavan? How can any of that be acceptable? How can God behave in a certain manner? So let us say somebody challenges you about Lord Krishna and they tell you, he married so many women, he cheated on so many other women. And why are you worshipping him? So you can ask this person, how did you know that he was married to so many women and he also left behind other women in Vrindavan? How do you know that? They will tell you, well, I heard or I read in this book. So then you should challenge them. But that same book also tells you that he is the Supreme Personality of God, that one has to surrender to him to make advancement on the spiritual path. So if you have read a book, how can you accept certain things as the truth based on which you're challenging the personality of Godhead? But if that same personality of Godhead has said that I am God, why you are not able to believe that? Why are you believing only a portion of the things that you read but not the rest? So you have to have faith. So if it is in a book, and this book has been written by Srila Vedavyas, and it is a series of conversations that are happening between great acharyas, then you have to accept it. So to the answer of why did Krishna marry 16,100 women? 16,108. But 16,100 were actually rishis during Lord Ram's time. They were very attracted to the Lord's beauty and they wanted to spend time with him. But the Lord said, this is not the avatar in which I will be spending time with you. But because you have this desire, I will reciprocate with your desire in my next avatar as Krishna. And therefore the Lord fulfills those same rishis' desires. And these rishis come as gopis and all of these queens. So this Narakasura captures these 16,000 princesses and locks them up. And the Lord rescues them, kills Narakasura. Narakasura is his own son, the Lord's son. Yeah. So, because the women were all Kshatriyas, they say, since we've been kept under imprisonment by another man, nobody will accept us in society. So, hey Krishna, we surrender to you. And Krishna says, okay, I will marry you. If nobody else will marry you, I will marry you. Therefore, Krishna protects these women by marrying them and not letting them be rejected once released back into society. So simultaneously, the Lord builds 16,108 palaces in Dwaraka and expands himself 16,108 times. And therefore, each wife is always in his company. What about Lord Ram? Why did he ask Sita to go away? Why all of this necessity for this Agni Pariksha? Isn't it quite improper for him to not trust his own wife? Well, you can look at it through a slightly different lens. If your wife is faulted in the future, then it is better that you accept that blame yourself. So, for example, if a husband has instructed his wife, I've turned on the motor switch for water to go to the overhead tank. After 10 minutes, you please switch it off. But the wife is very forgetful and the water is wasting. Before you know it, the neighbors start cursing you, saying, how can you waste so much water? So the husband comes back, and when he notices that so much water has been wasted, he apologizes to the neighbors, and then he calls his wife and blasts her in front of them. So much so the neighbors feel bad and say, why are you doing that to your wife? It's okay, she just made a mistake. Please forgive her. So now the blame has shifted from the wife to the husband because the husband was being very harsh. It was the wife who made the mistake. But it is the husband who is remembered for being harsh with the wife. So similarly, it was Sita Devi who left the ashram against the wishes of her husband and Lakshman. However, the Lord accepts this as his fault for testing Sita Devi. It's not that the Lord does not know she's pure, because she is his consort. It is really to establish this for the rest of society, so later on there is no questioning of it. So with our puny brains, we will not be able to understand everything that the Lord performs as part of his leelas, as part of his pastimes. Therefore, you have to hear about these leelas from bona fide acharyas. Then you will get all your answers. Without a doubt, you'll get your answers. And then you will be at peace that you got your answer. So many times I have read Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita and I'll be reading Prabhupada's purport and suddenly I'll get my answer. Something that I had a doubt about for a long time, the answer will be right there. When you get that answer, you feel, okay, good, I've got that answer. Now one more doubt is wiped out. Right? So now, knowledge comes through queries. So we will now hear what Krishna himself says about the material world and the spiritual world. Bhumirapo nalo vayuho kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind intelligence and false ego. Ashtada, 8. Altogether, these 8 constitute my separated material energy. Krishna is saying, all of matter comes from me. Beginning with earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and also false ego. That means all of these are Krishna's Shakti potency. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Krishna is saying all of matter comes from me. Then Krishna is saying all of the Jivatmas also come from me. But the Jivatmas are superior to Prakriti. But the Jivatmas are too busy exploiting Prakriti for their own satisfaction. So Krishna has taken ownership of matter. Krishna has taken ownership of you and me. So this is a superior Jivatma manipulating matter to do various things. So that means Krishna has his Bahiranga Shakti that he is described in 7.4. He has described his Tatastha Shakti in 7.5. So let us continue. This is a very famous shloka. Mattaf parataram nanyad kinchidaste dhananjaya mai sarvam nidam protam sutre manigana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So essentially, Krishna is telling us everything that you see around you is supported by me. I'm maintaining it. I created it. So everything is hanging on to me. So externally in this diagram, you see the pearls. You do not see the thread. The pearls look beautiful. Krishna is saying, I am the thread of the pearls of everything that is material and spiritual. Everything is supported by me. Both matter and spirit come from the Lord, and it is being maintained by the Lord. We cannot see it, but through our realized vision, we can recognize it. So that means the Lord is maintaining everyone and everything. Without the Lord's presence, nothing can exist. So like the thread and the garland, the source of everything is Krishna. Now we come to the section where Krishna is going to say, there are 4 categories of people who approach me for help. And there are 4 categories of people who do not accept me, which means they reject Krishna. So in the 15th shloka, Krishna is saying, Namam dushkriti no mudha prapatyante naradhamaha mayaya pahritagnyana asuram bhavamashritaha. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of the demons, do not surrender unto me. So Krishna has identified 4 categories who don't care for Krishna. First one, Krishna is calling them Mudha. These people are foolish. Naradhama, the lowest of mankind. Mayaya pahrita jnana, those whose knowledge is stolen by illusion. Asuram bhavamarshita, those who partake of the atheistic nature of the demons. So Krishna has given us 4 categories of people who do not recognize him, who do not accept him, and therefore they suffer. But then there are 4 kinds of people who also accept Krishna. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritinojjuna arto jignasuratharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. So who are these 4? Arto, distressed. They are in a situation where they're experiencing pain and anxiety and stress. So they go running to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, please help me. Then the Jignasu, someone who is just inquisitive. Oh, he's the Lord? Oh, let me find out who is the Lord. So they go in search of who is God, who is God, who is God. Then Artharthi, wealth seekers, those who will go to Krishna only because they want to be wealthy. And then Jnani, someone who's actually serious about knowing everything about Krishna or Paramatma, the absolute truth. So these are the 4 kinds of people who accept Krishna. So if you have to look at examples of those who reject Krishna, somebody who is greatly distressed, you can think of Kunti Maharani. Every time her children were in trouble, she used to pray to Krishna. Someone who was looking for wealth is Dhruva Maharaj. Someone who is curious is the Sanat Kumaras. And then the Jnanis who are actually seeking knowledge about who is Krishna. So in this particular shloka, Krishna is saying, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. Knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is, such a great soul is very rare. So again, Krishna is saying, those who actually surrender to me, that percentage is very, very low. And it takes many, many births and deaths to actually reach the stage of surrender. Kamaistais kritajnanaha prapatyantenya tam tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyata swaya. This is the section about worshipping the devatas. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So Krishna is stating here that those who are worshipping the devatas, they are looking for something lower. They are looking for material benefits. They can actually come to me directly for material benefits, and therefore their intelligence has actually been stolen. Why? Because Krishna will say, they don't know I'm the one who is sanctioning everything, right? We already talked about the 3 doers. Lord has to sanction. Paramatma has to sanction. The demigods don't sanction. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. So the difference between a shopkeeper and a father. You can go to a shopkeeper as long as you pay the money, he will sell you whatever it is that you're looking for. Whereas your father, you go and ask him for something, he will only decide whether to give you something if it benefits you. He will not give you anything that you ask for because he knows that it may harm you in the long term. So that is the difference of relationship between the Devatas and Krishna. You can go ask Krishna for anything that you want. If he thinks it's not good for you, he's not going to give it to you. Whereas if you go to the Devatas, they don't care about your spiritual well-being. They will give you as long as you have paid a price for it. Whatever that price is, through yajna, austerity, sacrifice. You see so many times Brahma has given so many boons to so many demons. They did that tapas and Brahma said, okay, fine, because you did your tapas, I have to give you. Of course, that is also sanctioned by the Lord. But the agency through which they experience it is through the Devatas. So those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme path. That means there is a difference in destination. If you're worshipping the Devatas, highest planet you can go to is heavenly planets or wherever it is that the Devatas are residing. Whereas if you're worshipping Krishna, Krishna says, then your destination is different. You will go back to Krishna's planet. Now, the challenge is that the Devatas' planets are all in the material cosmos. So, when Krishna destroys, they also get destroyed and their planets also get destroyed. Whereas Krishna's planet remains untouched. The Vaikuntha planets, the Goloka Vrindavan planets remain untouched. So, obviously, Krishna is asking you and me, what's the point of worshipping the Devatas? Because whatever they give you is not permanent. Whatever boon they give you will end as of your life. They cannot give you boons that you take to all lives ahead of time. That's not possible. Secondly, there are 33 crore devatas. Which devata you will worship for what? They all have like departments that they manage. So for education, you have to go to one department, finance another department, health another department. So many devatas. How many devatas will you worship for good health, for good education, good husband, good wife, good children? In the Bhagavatam, there is a huge list of devatas that you worship and what you will get in return. You know? But what's the point? Because whatever they give you will end in this life. So here in the 27th shloka, Krishna is saying, Icha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. O scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Icha dvesha, icha dvesha. There are certain things that we like, there are certain things that we dislike. And this is the duality that keeps making us run around like fools and keep getting caught up in this samsaras. Yes. So this is the nature of this material cosmos. We will always experience happiness and sorrow. Greed and compassion. So everything is like black, white, black, white, black, white, like that. There are always things that are acting in opposition to each other. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandva moha nirmuktaha bhajante mam dridhaha vrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So, how do you get rid of this vicious cycle of ichcha dvesha, desires and resentment or things that you don't like? Krishna is saying the only way you can overcome this is by performing devotional service. You should have done some sukriti in your previous life. In this life, if you continue down that path of doing devotional service, then your duality will be removed. And when your duality is removed, then you are engaged in serving me. So it is because of our desire, we have to take birth again and again and again. So if we want to go back to Krishna, we should no longer have any desire other than to go back to Krishna. So if our only desire is to go back to Krishna, then the best way to achieve that goal in this life is to perform Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna is telling us in this chapter, he is the boss. He is the boss of this cosmos. He is the boss of the Devatas. He is the boss in the spiritual world. And he is saying, this is my relationship with you. I am the cause of all causes. There is nobody higher than me. There is nobody equal to me. So in this particular chapter, Krishna has introduced his energies. He has not introduced himself yet. He has only introduced his Shakti potency. His Shakti potency operates the material cosmos. His Shakti potency is operating the spiritual world also. And we are also his Shakti potency because we are also Krishna's energy. But we are very, very minute, tiny, insignificant in comparison to Krishna. So this is the essence of the 7th chapter. If there are any questions or comments, I'll take it now. Yes, Vinay Prabhu, you have a question.
Mataji, in this Jnana Vijnana Yoga, I am little bit confusing with Vibhuti Yoga, 10th chapter. In the 10th chapter also, so many places where Krishna is residing, like serpents, mountains, rivers, ocean, a human being, Maharshis, like that. So many places he mentioned in Omkara, Vedas, Rutus, like that. So many places where he is residing. That part he mentioned, right? At the same time, if you see in the Jnana Vijnana Yoga also, he mentioned in the Krishna mentioned in the Omkara, same it is repeating.
Yes.
Right. Means may know why it is here and there. This mixing of shlokas is there any particular reason, Mataji?
The 10th chapter, which is called Vibhuti Yoga, Arjuna has actually asked Krishna a question. He said, I love hearing about you, but I want to understand because in the 8th chapter, Krishna, which we will discuss tomorrow, Krishna has told Arjuna, always think of me, especially at the time of death. If you think of me, you will come back to me. And then 9th chapter, Krishna has glorified his devotees who are always thinking of him. So after hearing all of this from the Lord, Arjuna is curious. He is asking, I just want to know, how can I think of you all the time? Therefore, Krishna says, I am there in the taste of water. I am the Himalayas. Of the aquatics, I am the shark. And he gives 82 different examples of opulences. And the 10th chapter ends with Krishna saying, but what is the point of you asking me this question? Don't you know, with a single spark emanating from me, I'm maintaining the entire cosmos. So essentially, Krishna says, nice question, but you will not be able to understand me ever. It's because Arjuna asked for a description of how Krishna pervades everything. Krishna gives examples.
That's true, Mataji. And second question is, if you see in this chapter here, Krishna is mentioning about the trigunas. mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. Means at the same point, he don't affect on these trigunas.
You
Am I
mean
right,
Krishna
Mataji?
does not come under the influence of the gunas?
Yes, he
Yes.
won't be influenced by trigunas.
Yeah.
If you see in the Krishna book, I read entire book of Krishna qualities. In the 64 qualities mentioned.
Mhm.
So here,
One second. Yeah.
so Krishna is saying here one point is saying no qualities are affecting by him.
Yes.
At the same time, the qualities of Krishna mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, these 64 qualities also based on the gunas only.
No.
No, Mataji?
No. All those 64 qualities are transcendental. Because if Krishna is saying, I am controlling Maya Devi, how can he then say Maya Devi controls me? Though both statements cannot be true.
Okay, this means these 64 qualities are different from trigunas, you are saying.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, okay, Mataji. Then I clear. Thank you. Thank you.
They are considered to be transcendental.
Okay. Sure, Mataji. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
And last question, Mataji.
Yes.
Here Krishna is saying two different aspects: those who are surrendering to him, those who are becoming against to him. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritinarjuna artho jignasuraardhati jnanicha bharatarshava. Before that one shloka, he is telling those who are not praying to him, those who are not surrendering that qualities. But Krishna doesn't have discrimination whether he surrender, whether he did not surrender. He has equal vision on both.
Yes.
Right, Mataji?
Yeah.
Right, Mataji? But benediction, if you see, the highest benediction, those who are completely surrendered to Krishna, that only I am giving highest benediction to them. Like that one statement is there.
Yes.
In this statement, how can we understand? Either he is a bhakta or non-bhakta, the benediction has to come both way, right? Means equally, right? But means my understanding, in which way we can understand, better understanding purpose only. I can understand the overall concept. If you see in the class, those who are studying well and first marks who will get, teacher always loves him and give more knowledge to him. I can understand. But in this scenario, how can I can better way to understand?
The answer will come in one of the future chapters. If you don't mind waiting, I think your doubt will get completely clarified.
Sure, Mataji. I will
Krishna
wait.
says, I am impartially partial. So you have to then figure out what does Krishna mean when he says he is impartially partial. He is partial, but he is also impartial. Now, I just said, how can two statements that are contradictory be true? In this case, it is. So we will discover that in, I think, probably in the 12th chapter.
Sure, Mataji. I mean, Bhakti Yoga.
Yes.
Sure, Mataji. I will wait. Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice questions.
Thank you.
Anyone else has any questions or comments? Nothing? All right. So thank you very much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.